Guys, Frankie here from Clever Programmer, and today I have the honor to sit with my friend.
What's up? Aaron here from Clever Programmer. What's up, Frankie?
What's up, man? You guys know Aaron from the Python tutorials of 2019. We killed it back in the day,
And 2020.
and 2020 as well.
Don't neglect 2020.
Also, the whole live streams and everything. But, anyways, guys, today we're gonna hit on the top web development trends of 2021,
Hell yeah,
and
the upcoming year.
let's
2020 is
get
coming
it.
to an end.
So,
COVID's coming to
a
an
lot of
end.
people actually released this title, right? And
Okay.
we wanted to give our own.
What's
That
up,
was Nas
Nas?
back here. What's up, Nas? How's it going? Want to come say hi? And a lot of people gave their 2 cents on it. Now it's our turn, so we're gonna discuss what's in right now. Okay. So let's get into it, guys.
All
To
right.
begin with, guys, you know, pay attention. A lot of value is gonna be given throughout this live stream, and everything that we say is very practical. So actually take it into action.
Yep. Turn off your phones. Do not disturb.
Exactly. So it's
Get your
time to
notebooks out.
focus. So, top trends in web development. I actually saw this specific graphic in one article online, and I thought it was good how they explained it. So I kind of wanted to grab it for myself.
Make
I'll give credit
freaking
afterwards.
the developers look like superheroes.
Yeah, jacked.
Saving the world with development trends.
So
Okay.
you want to explain this, Aaron?
Yeah, so I mean, we the way we kind of looked at this was there are a lot of trends, right? When it
Yep.
comes to, can you hear me?
Yep.
Keeps cutting out. But there's a lot of trends that you can follow, but I mean, even those they're just trends, but there's a few things that you do not want to forget about when thinking about web apps or I mean programming in general, but in this case, web development. Oh, so it's good, it's good. All right. Yeah, so I mean, pretty much when you're making an app, this kind of is just like underlying principles you need to follow. Like your apps need to be responsive, like they need to be fast. That's the first thing. So make sure that you always have like fast apps. They also need to be pretty. So I mean, this makes sense for web development and mobile development, web apps, and all that kind of stuff because you want it to look pretty. Because if it looks like not, then people aren't really going to care. The last thing is it needs to be intelligent. So this is kind of like the trifecta of things you need to keep in mind, regardless of the trend. Like make sure your apps are fast and responsive and they look good using different frameworks and that they're intelligent using some kind of backend algorithms and stuff. And we'll go into these a little bit more as we go into the stream. But just keep these three in mind. So responsive, pretty, and intelligent. Make sure your apps have all three um, as we're going along.
Awesome. And exactly, guys, we're gonna expound on all of these, and let's actually keep it moving forward. So one of the cool things about this specific, trend list that we wanted to do is, like Aaron said, they're called trends because most of the time you think of trends as things that are passenger or, come and go. But we wanted to base this list off of things that obviously are relevant, that are trends, but at the same time kind of have a principle, right? So, the principles of this type of website, building or development can actually, it can actually carry you guys for a few years because we're literally talking about a bunch of principles. And one of the biggest principle right now is really mobile first design. And you
Yeah,
want to explain a
yeah.
little bit about that?
Okay, yeah. So actually, I want to say that out of every trend, this is kind of the probably the most important one because it kind of determines everything else. Everything is under the umbrella of this one trend right here. So I really want to focus on this. It's not even a trend like unique to 2021. It's the upcoming year, but each year it's going to be even a bigger trend, and that's mobile first design. So I found this again another superhero graphic.
Yep, man,
um,
that's the whole theme of it. Developers are superheroes.
Perfect.
And
No, go back, bro. Go back.
oh, okay,
Real
okay, you
quick.
still
Yeah, I
want to
just want
explain
to
that?
mention this. So,
Hmm.
like, yeah, it's super important because most users are always using their phone over their desktop. So, um, in order to be able to like create apps that are being used by more people more frequently and more accessible, like more convenient for them, then mobile is taking over slowly. So, I mean, the first iPhone came out what 2007 from. I mean, the first smartphone, the iPhone in
Hmm.
2007, and since then, every single year, there's more apps, there's more things, there's more functionality, there's more models, there's more companies building smartphones, and it's crazy, and it's going to keep going up and up. So the biggest trend right now is mobile. So you want to make sure that your stuff is always mobile friendly, and actually prioritize that first because as you can see on the display here, on the slides,
Yep. Also,
prioritize it. You have to
think about it,
prioritize.
guys. Like normally, if you see a website that doesn't have a mobile-friendly design, or if it doesn't even have a mobile, version of that page, you
Mhm.
kind of like I personally think about them like, oh damn, like they never got to develop this. The company might not be that professional or something like that. You know, I
Yeah.
always feel like there's something
Yeah,
missing.
yeah. I mean, things like Instagram, right? Like Instagram was mobile only first, and then eventually, years later, they eventually got the desktop version up and running
That's true,
on the web app. And so it's like,
and I'm glad they
and
did.
how big is Instagram? I think there's more Instagram users than Facebook users, right?
I don't know. That's
Actually, I don't
crazy.
know,
Really?
but I mean, at least in the younger generation, Facebook has been invaded by the adults,
Yeah.
right? But by the
My mom is
grandparents
there
and
now.
stuff, trying to catch on and be hip. But
Anyways, you know, mobile development and sorry, mobile first design is actually very important. And we saw a cool article here from CNBC, and they're talking about how nearly 3/4 of the world right now will use just their smartphones to access the internet by 2025. So in five
yeah,
years,
and
man.
5G is coming too. Look at the advertisement there.
That's crazy. Hitting us
It
from
fills in,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah, because yeah, and with 5G coming in, mobile stuff is gonna be even more like prevalent. Like it's gonna be dominating in the next 5-10 years. You're really gonna make sure that your mobile stuff is on point, or else you're gonna slowly be overshadowed. And even from there, from like a meta trend level, after mobile phones come by, like I mean, wearable tech is coming, right? Virtual reality, augmented reality, that's eventually going to take over the smartphones and mobile development in the next 20, 30 years, when that stuff is like the main drivers. When you have your Google glasses, and
Yeah.
Apple's making Apple glasses soon. It's coming out in the next probably few years and stuff like that. So like once that kicks in, then the trends are going to eventually go over there. But for 2021, just focus on mobile smartphone stuff.
Yep. So
Just
augmented
want to
reality
mention
is
that.
really big, actually. You know,
Huge,
huge
bro.
companies like IKEA are using it right now. So you know, mobile and all of the technologies moving forward to different directions. I mean, I'm unsure how it's going to look in 5 years from now, but I mean, 3/4 is 75% out of everything. So another cool point that we really did want to hit is the fact that real-time web applications are super important in these days. You can
Mhm.
see, you know, big companies like Facebook, big companies like Instagram, you know, have very responsive times whenever you are, you know, browsing their website because
Yeah. People have low attention spans.
exactly. Yeah, and it's
That's
actually
it.
one of the biggest drivers
Uh huh.
of people bouncing from the websites if
Yeah,
it
you
takes
lose
too long.
patience, you get along.
Exactly. If it takes too
It's
long
kind of
to
like an
load.
IG story. Like if it's like a boring 15 seconds, you skip that shit.
And
But
Instagram.
if it's like if it's interesting, you'll like watch the first 3 or 4 seconds, then you'll skip it instead
That's
of watch
true.
the. It's like this. We're just the attention span. You know, it needs to be like fast and responsive, or people get upset. You know,
Yeah,
the spinning
and
beach ball and
people
stuff.
go crazy over like
Yeah.
milliseconds and stuff. So I
Yeah.
know one of the tools we actually didn't mention it here, but one of the tools that a lot of developers use in big commercial projects is Google Lighthouse,
Mm,
which you know teaches you or shows you how to optimize the websites, you know,
mhm.
in micro optimizations. But you know, ultimately, it's for that note. And one of the things that or companies that actually use this the real time web applications is all of these. You know,
Yeah, like
so
uh, FreshBooks. Never heard of that. But I
FreshBooks,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of these, like a lot of the big companies, need to have really real time application. And this just goes back to the trifecta I talked about before. So your stuff needs to be pretty. So I mean, for mobile, a lot of stuff is pretty. But then these real time things, like things need to be responsive, or people are just gonna not use your app. Like if an app is slow, like usually people just don't use it. Like if you go to like the
Exactly.
app store, you know, for
Yeah.
iPhone, and like, oh, this is not working, it's slow, it's laggy, it's buggy. People just don't use it, and it has low reviews. But like stuff like Instagram, like
And
those things are
presentation
popping.
is pretty much everything. But the fact is that the prettiness of things comes from the fact of, you know, if it's too clunky or too, you know, there's so much going on, it's almost not intuitive how to move around the app, you know? So prettiness comes in handy with actual, you know, efficiency and results for that app. So that's why we want to, you know, actually focus on that. Evernote, Instagram, Dropbox, Uber, Twitter, Postmates, Meetup, PayPal, and Salesforce are some of the companies that use that. You want to expound on this?
Oh dang, yeah. Yeah, so another trend that's been up and coming recently. So a little history lesson too. So if you guys didn't know, the
Guys,
whole
also sorry, Aaron. Don't spam the chat because I'm gonna block you. You know, we're all here to learn, and it's very annoying when somebody's just you know spamming the same comment over and over. So you know, trying to
damn
deliver
son,
value here.
what does Panu
Let's
even
take it
mean?
serious. Let's do something that can change our lives, guys. Come on. Listen, we're adults here. Enjoy. But what were you saying
All
about
right, got it.
single page
Yeah, so
websites?
single page website. So for you guys who don't know, this is another thing that has been implemented a lot recently. It's a big trend over the last few years and going into the future. This is going to be catching on more and more. And it's another responsive thing. So make your websites a lot more responsive. So what this is back in the day, like when the internet first started up, right? Like everything's built on HTML and CSS. I think most
Mm-hmm.
people know that if you're watching this video. So the way it works is you like fetch a page and then you click a link and then it'll go fetch more HTML from the server, right?
Yep.
Over and over again. But that takes a lot of time because it's like a lot of back and forth. So there's a thing called single page websites that's been catching on recently in on websites like Facebook, Google, Twitter, like the like the big mega powerhouse kind of websites and services. And the idea is instead of like keep like talking to the server, can you guys hear the dog barking in the background? I think some dogs.
It's upstairs and you can hear all the way here.
Okay.
These microphones are that good.
They're fighting.
But yeah, so single page application websites are also known as SPAs, SPAs.
Yeah, if you've ever heard that acronym before. But basically, all it is just saying instead of like keep contacting the server over and over again, just kind of like load all of it pretty much at one time into one single mega page. And then just kind of like as you click on stuff, just kind of like get different segments of that. So you really only contact the server like one time. And then it makes it so much faster because you're not like back and forth, back and forth. You just get it all at one time. And then you can kind of dynamically load it. So Google uses this. I mean, you can't really see it like on the surface level, but under the hood, it's implemented that way, and that's how it can be so fast. Things like Google, Facebook, like as you click links and stuff, like it loads a lot faster because then it doesn't have to like keep accessing the server database.
Exactly. So I didn't actually list it here because I was going to list examples of multi-page applications. I actually think I might have skipped it, but in general, multi-page applications are more like e-commerce websites such as Amazon, eBay, all of these that actually have a bunch of sites or websites put together, and you go like if you click a button or a link, it might take you to an inner website or a sub website subdomain of that website. And here on the single page applications, everything is handled on the same actual loaded website on your computer, like Aaron was saying. But it is part of the development world right now. It's kind of what is in. I'd say get inspiration from the best companies that are out right now. So another big point that we wanted to hit as well is chatbots and AI. And as you can see here, it's funny because like somebody put the Adobe Illustrator logo here for AI, which is maybe they didn't know or something.
I mean, they probably just Google searched like AI and then they found Adobe Illustrator. But I mean, it gets the message across.
Yeah, so right here they're explaining like they're saying when it comes to responses, while an interface just presents options with an AI chatbot, you can type in your own answer. So the cool thing about this, man, is like for example, if you're having a service website or you deliver some kind of product, anything like that, we use actual chatbots in our company, cleverprogrammer.com. If you check it out, we got a chatbot there that they serve different functions. So, for example, you can collect data from the people that are going into your website. I think one of the questions that we had is, are you a beginner in programming? Are you intermediate or advanced? So it's cool because you can get to know the people that visit your website a little bit more, maybe, make your product more towards them. And another way to do it is it's huge here. It's customer support. So AI and chatbots are used immensely in customer support. You can see it in a bunch of websites. So I know a lot of big websites, even like YouTube, I believe, doesn't have customer support. So it'd be awesome if they can just have like a very intelligent chatbot.
Yeah, yeah. So again, remember the trifecta. It needs to be pretty, it needs to be responsive, it needs to be intelligent. So it needs to have all three, to be like visually appealing, to not lose people's patience, but also needs to like make freaking sense.
Yeah.
Like get a tangible thing done for the user. So things like chatbots and AI, and then even things like recommended, like on Netflix and Amazon, they have
Exactly.
recommended items. Netflix
Yeah.
has
So Aaron
recommended.
was actually studying AI in Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah, it was. And then I stopped to work here.
Yeah. So
But I was
this
there for a
guy's
couple of years. Yeah.
deep into that world. He was mentioning
Uh-huh.
the recommended algorithms on Netflix.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So stuff like this. I mean, like people probably already know about this. I mean, like every like software nowadays has an algorithm. YouTube algorithm, it feeds you videos you've seen before. Netflix tells you your recommended shows, right? Instagram shows you, oh, these pictures you might like, and stuff like even like targeted ads. Like
Yeah.
as people are clicking on stuff, they start getting targeted by these ads. So this is what I mean by intelligent apps. You definitely want to have some kind of algorithmic aspect to your apps to make it like really good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like I feel a little bit
it's a
betrayed.
competition.
Yeah, I
But
feel a little bit betrayed when I don't see like, for example, if you're using any video website, any website in general, and they like you use it a lot, and they cannot recommend things that you already look for in that website, as in
yeah,
like
dude,
what I
like
mean?
how annoying would YouTube be if like you're
Oh
watching
man,
you're watching a bunch of like
that's true.
content that you really like, right? Like whatever. Like let's say I'm watching sewing videos. I don't actually watch sewing videos.
I bet you do.
But like, let's say I'm super into sewing. Let's just say I'm super into sewing.
Yeah.
And
Hypothetically speaking.
hypothetically, I'm just hypothetical. But I want to be seeing more sewing videos. But if it just kept showing me like car videos or like dog videos over and over, just random videos, and it never caught on to my trend, I'd be like, what the heck, YouTube? Like, okay,
Yeah,
cool. You just show me random stuff.
that's
No,
true.
show me more sewing. Show me how to knit. Show me how to use a sewing machine. Show me how to do hand sewing, like
And the cool thing
stuff like
about
that.
that
Yeah,
is for
cross
example,
hatching, whatever.
it's good because it makes you feel like your experience of that website is personalized. Two, it's not only does it like help me as a user, the thing is that you as a website developer, you want people to actually use the websites. So, people are going to lean towards your website if it has an algorithm that recognizes its searches or things that, other, for example, like Spotify. This is how I get to know a bunch of different new songs. They recommend me songs that are similar to the songs that I listen to, and then they give me so much value by getting to know different types of music. So not only is it very efficient for users to keep using your website or app, but also it's what was I gonna say? It's damn, I completely blanked out from I lost my train of thought.
Oh, shit, I was reading something else. What were
Yeah, I mean, I was
you
just saying how important it is. People are gonna use it more, and actually, it's almost this is what I was gonna say. So
People
it
don't like stupid apps.
it's a
Make smart apps.
standard nowadays, dude. Like it's
Yeah,
now
it
part
is.
of everything. It should be part of
Yeah,
everything, pretty much.
yeah,
So just moving forward a little bit about chatbots. Here's an example of how it would work. As I was mentioning, maybe customer support would be a good example
yeah.
of this.
Or just two
So
examples. Yeah, just like communicating with the user in some
yeah,
intelligent way using a chatbot, but then also just being intelligent in a way like using like algorithms to do recommending stuff, like pick up their preferences and stuff like that.
correct. Yeah, and we were watching a video by
What is this?
Academind, I believe,
What is this
and
dog, bro?
like I said, we were talking about trends, but ultimately it is going to be principles. And the cool thing about this is that we do want to start out with foundations because, man, if you're looking for trends all the time, and like I said, this is based more off of principles rather than trends. But if you're looking for trends all the time, you have to know the foundations for you to exploit those trends. And some of the foundations with web development
Yeah.
would be,
Oh yeah. So like, okay, really real quick. I see a lot of people in the comments are saying MERN and mean. If you guys know what those are, then yeah, these are huge trends. As you can see, we've been dropping a lot of MERN stack stuff recently, and we're going to be continuing to do this into 2020, 2021 and going forward. Um, so MERN and mean is just like using React and Angular and some other stuff that we'll talk about in a bit. But those are like huge trends as well. They're gonna tie in. But to prelude that, yeah, you do need to know your basics. So anybody who doesn't, if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, trends, it doesn't matter if you know the trends if you don't know the basics. So you got to
exactly.
learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first because that's kind of what everything's built on. So we're just mentioning that. I mean, probably obvious, but it's good to just mention.
I feel your voice going in and out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with this
It's
mic.
because when you're silent, it kind of kills the sound, and
Oh,
then
for
when
real?
you start talking, it
Damn.
like it
These mics are
turns
too
it
high
on
tech
again.
for me. I just
But
use the.
anyways, those are the actual foundations of web development, and CSS to begin with is pretty much it's the pretty part of web development, right? So learn how to use different layouts of websites. Flexbox, it's a great library for CSS, as well as CSS is used a lot now for responsive design. And like Aaron was saying, we're dropping a bunch of value bombs during our MERN stacks, or just the what is it, the Firebase with React tutorials and builds that we're dropping as well.
Mhm.
All of those things go deep into CSS, and we use it in very responsive manners. So if you guys are enjoying this content and you want to see something a little bit more technical, then go into those videos and actually get those builds done
Yeah.
and put them on your portfolio.
Yeah, pretty much all the apps we're building are trendy apps by definition. So I
Exactly.
mean, we're talking about it here on a high level, but if you actually just wanted to see examples, I mean, we built all those clones. Like these things going forward, like by definition, they're trendy because these websites are trendy.
Yep.
So like if you do what they do and you understand what they've built, then that's great. So yeah, MERN is very big. And we use a lot of Firebase. Firebase isn't part of MERN, I don't think. Yeah, MERN is what MongoDB, ExpressJS,
Express, React.
React.js, and Node.js. And
Hmm.
then Mean is the same thing but with Angular instead of React. So those two are definitely big, and keep an eye on those. And we'll talk about those in a second.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And JS is a huge part of the basics as well. And JS normally is the portion of, that the thing that takes action. So a video playing, so an image popping up, anything that requires, some movement is JS. Everything else like HTML would be what
Wait,
on
what
the
was that?
website. HTML would be what on
Oh,
the
yeah,
website.
it's just a structure. I mean, yeah, if you guys, I mean, I think most people know, but HTML just like defines all the different parts of the website, and then you have it all there. Then CSS makes it all like pretty the way you present it, and JS is just like how do you like interact with the page,
And a
like
simple way to think
dynamic.
about it too is HTML is more text oriented, CSS is more color oriented, and JS is more action oriented. So these are a bunch of things that you can jump into regarding JavaScript, and so those would be the basics. But maybe you're asking, what about visual and design stuff? Maybe for all the front end developers out there, what are the cool things that are trending right now? And a lot of
Most
people ask this question.
what the visual design stuff.
The,
Yeah,
the
so I mean,
what is a framework specifically?
oh, framework. Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about frameworks because, like, for the visual design stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, well, frameworks are libraries, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most people understand. They get all worked up. It's like
Yeah.
React is a library, not a framework. We're like, okay, yeah, you get the idea.
Oh no, it's both.
Whatever you want to call it, it's a thing that you can add on top of JavaScript and HTML to make cool websites. So, yeah, framework is just like an extension. So, I mean, the main three we're going to be talking about are React, Vue, and Angular, right?
Yeah.
So,
So for example, it's like if you're building websites and you're gonna want to use you're building multiple websites, you're gonna want to use a slideshow on your website. Let's just say that instead of coding it from scratch, what you want to do is, people that build websites pretty much have code that they had already used in a specific sense, as in like maybe a function or a utility, like a slideshow, like I was mentioning. People already build these type of things, and those things are frameworks. So if you're wanting to build a responsive website, there's frameworks for that. So if you want to build maybe an Android app, there's frameworks for that, and frameworks are pretty much specific code snippets or actual functions that you can use. So going deeper into frameworks, these are some of the bigger ones right now in web development. So Angular is huge. It's one of the biggest ones right now.
Google, as you can see, Google,
Exactly. So
Mr. Google there.
it was developed by Google. It has a version 1 and version 2 right now. Well, obviously it's a version 2, and it got a little bit less complicated in version 2. I don't want to go so deep into it, as we do mention it in other videos. And Vue is a very good one as well. All of these are front end frameworks.
Yeah, Vue is kind of the lagger though right now. Feel like Angular is bigger than Vue. It's used by more people. But I mean, it's good to know.
Yeah.
If you know all three, I mean, then you're pretty flying high when it comes to like using frameworks and front end design and stuff. And then these, of course, work into like the tech stacks where you're talking about like MERN stacks and mean stacks. So you're definitely gonna want to know one, two, or three of these.
So Vue is
Yeah.
also very new. I think it's the newest one of them all right now. And I think Vue was
Um,
made by a Google employee, if I'm not mistaken.
I actually don't even know
You guys can
history
correct me.
behind it.
Yeah, yeah, it's super new,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are leaning towards it. I know
Yeah, it's catching on. I heard. Yeah,
I
people
know I
like
watched a video by Stefan Mischuk, I believe is his name.
Stefan Mistral. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy's cool. He's
He's
like
really
calm and
cool.
intense, just
Yeah, I love him. He has
down
a
to earth.
bunch of experience. He was saying that he himself prefers Vue,
Mm.
but it still needs to catch up.
Yeah.
So another cool one, obviously, that you guys know,
Yeah,
we
from
we
us
push
all
a
here at
lot.
Clever Programmer and Papa React. You guys know
Papa
Sunny.
React, Sunny. What is up, Sunny? How we
Yeah.
doing, bro? He's in the
He's
UK.
really just Zuckerberg, but with a mask on.
Yeah.
That's him, Papa React.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of builds with React. If you guys want to check them out on the channel,
Yeah.
React is huge right now. There's a lot of market share for web development in React, and huge
Huge, yeah.
companies.
React is kind of king right now. Angular is
Exactly.
pretty good too, but I mean React is like really catching on and
Mm-hmm.
it's really popping. And it's so powerful. Like we created all the clones with React and Firebase. Like we weren't even using like a full MERN stack or anything. It was just pure React and Firebase for a lot of it, right? A lot
So
of the clones.
fast, man. Yeah.
And it's just good. Like you can just kill it. Like Firebase is a big trend too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna talk about that too.
Exactly, and we'll expand on that a little bit more. So React was created by Facebook, just like Angular was created by Google.
Mhm.
And here's an example of the
Oh yeah, here's a
websites
cute little table
or
of the
apps that use, React.
yeah of the three little.
So Angular.js, The Guardian, which is one of the biggest, news companies in the world right now, uses AngularJS. Upwork, one of the biggest freelancing websites in the
Mhm.
world. PayPal, obviously you guys know PayPal. It's processing payments. Sony, cool. I believe Sony is a Chinese web company.
Japanese. Yep.
It's Japanese.
Pretty sure it's Japanese.
Whoa.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Sony
yeah, it's
PlayStation,
Japanese.
dude.
That's
You
true.
just
That's
kind
true. That's true. That's true. Sorry,
of
guys.
bro.
Apologize for my ignorance. Airbnb uses React. We build the
Yeah.
Airbnb clone. Instagram
Yeah.
uses React. Uber Eats. Oh, beautiful.
I mean,
And
point is, yeah, like
Dropbox.
big things use these frameworks. I mean, like
Exactly.
pretty much every website uses JavaScript nowadays. Like, oh, every website. Like,
It's
it's just
crazy.
like a given at this point. But I mean, these frameworks like add a layer of flexibility and like power behind even that more. So like these websites are utilizing these frameworks to like make their websites really responsive and pretty and intelligent.
Yeah, and although they are,
I mean, not intelligent, just
although
pretty and
they
responsive.
are, what's it called, like front end, framework. Grammarly uses this, and Grammarly, like, I don't see it have so much like UI or anything. That's
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, yeah, I guess like Vue, like what is it? What is IPL dashboard? I don't know what that is. GitLab,
I don't know exactly.
Grammarly,
Variation of
Alibaba. Yeah, you
GitHub.
guys heard of those, but I mean, you can kind of see Angular, React, JS is
Jack
kind
Ma.
of the bigger. Yeah, Jack Ma. Oh my God, Jack Ma. AliExpress and Alibaba, right?
So now
Yeah.
let's talk about
Oh yeah.
data.
So going back to like the um response, I think it's more like in the responsiveness part, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
like going to data.
So you want to
Yeah.
explain a little bit about this?
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, there's something called SQL. So this is it stands for Structured Query Language, and all this means is a way to have your data in a database. So of course, everybody knows like storing data in database is pretty much required when you are creating apps, especially web apps, because you want to store some kind of data, like oh, what's in the cart, like what's the catalog of all the products, etc., yada yada yada, or your social media profile. Um, so there's this thing called SQL, structured query language, which just kind of allows us to structure our data in a database, which is kind of the traditional way of housing data in a database, which is nice. Everything's nice and organized, but you're kind of like stuck to a structure. And recently, what's been catching a little bit more nowadays is something called NoSQL, which kind of just allows you to just dogpile a bunch of data, usually in the form of JSON, into some database without worrying about like all the structures and having everything like be like, oh, this record points to this record that points to this record that points to this record. Like it gets too complicated versus no SQL where you can just be like, here's a gigantic thing of JSON in here. You just like dump everything in and then just get kind of like more fluid about it. So like I guess you can kind of say SQL is like the structured, organized approach, and the no SQL is just kind of like, yo, just put everything in here and just get smart about sifting through it quickly.
Yeah,
That's a high level explanation.
it's also cool because like
Yeah.
SQL or SQL is a language pretty much, and I guess for NoSQL
Yeah.
databases you don't really need SQL. You really need to know SQL. I bet you use SQL to query through different searches that you want to do on these NoSQL databases. But all in all, it's not tied up just to SQL, the SQL language. So that's an
NoSQL.
example of NoSQL.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's a little graphic. What is a NoSQL database? Um, yeah, pretty much. So like I already touched on all these in the previous slide just now about NoSQL databases because you're not limited to like some kind of structured data. Then you can get faster performance, easy replication because you can just kind of just like chunk everything together. More bigger data capacity. I mean, big data capability because you can just like put a bunch in there. Scalability, that high scalability that ties into the big data capability and all that. It's just easier. Like when you don't have to worry about like having this structured language to what's up now? It sounds good. Okay, I didn't know if the audio's cutting out. I know my mic's kind of weird, but I feel like they can hear me.
Yes, a lot of people using NoSQL databases ask if they're
Shit,
they're
interrupting me.
actually
All right, go, go, go,
scalable,
go, go.
and and we're about to mention a few of them. Firebase is a very known one. I was talking to a
MongoDB too.
developer.
MongoDB, yeah, which is part of the MERN and mean
Exactly.
stack, is the leading NoSQL database. So
Yep.
that's one of the big trends. That's why I'm mentioning this because going to 2021, like you need to know your MERN and your mean. You definitely need to know. Did we even put that in here? I don't think we put it in the slides, but I mean, just
We didn't mention it.
listen.
No.
Yeah, listen to us. The MERN and the mean, which ties into because that allows you to create um, like just pretty apps that are intelligent and they are responsive and all that using these tech stacks.
Exactly. And like I was saying right now, I was talking to a developer and he was mentioning to me that sometimes Firebase is not used by bigger, tech companies right now just cuz
Mm-hmm.
a lot of companies don't want to be tied up to a Google ecosystem of their database
Mm-hmm.
and their whole tech.
Firebase is from Google, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Firebase is
Yeah,
from Google.
that's what I thought.
And other like bigger scalable projects right now are using SQL, so SQL is very used. But the whole trend, the whole movement is going
Yeah, it's
to
slowly being phased
NoSQL
out. It's
database.
being phased
Exactly.
out because these MERN stacks are just so powerful, having like cross-platform capability. Like you can actually prioritize the mobile design going forward, and then they also have like web apps that work on all different screen sizes and stuff. And then like you just have like the powerhouse and the ease of implementation using the React and Angular um, frameworks slash libraries, whatever you want to call it. Uh, and Node.js, like you can house all your data on the back end, and MongoDB, like basically these tech stacks are the trends, like the biggest ones that are coming up. But you definitely want to
Start
like
transitioning to
yeah,
NoSQL.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, just learn MongoDB, just learn Mern and
Just
Mean.
learn it.
That's
Check
it.
out
Just
our.
learn Mongo and Mean.
Yesterday we went live. David went live, showing I believe it was part 2 of the Facebook clone, and that uses the Mern stack, and it's awesome, man. The front end looks amazing. So check that out. This is an example of how it's
What?
used.
I feel like we already
So
talked about this.
yeah,
What is this?
so
Gaming?
NoSQL is used more for gaming, social. I don't really know what IoT is.
Yeah, what that
Internet
is.
of
Oh
Things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Internet of Things. Yeah.
web,
Uh huh.
mobile, enterprise,
Hmm.
and it uses a key value store, document base, and column family store on NoSQL databases. And
Yeah.
on SQL databases, it's more like for web or mobile or big enterprises, as I was mentioning. And it also uses relational table
I mean, there's some
storages.
overlap here. Like web is on both, enterprise on both, mobile is on both. I think what they're trying to say mainly is
Oh,
down here
enterprise
at
is
the
on both
bottom
too.
right. Like, see that table there?
That's true.
There's like relationships between the data. Everything's like kind of tied together in this way, and it can get complicated. Versus just like NoSQL, you just like chunk it all. Like I said, like it's a dog pile of data that you
Exactly.
can get smart about sifting through, and then it's just so much easier to scale.
So this is more linear, and this is more,
I guess you could
all
say.
goes pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, anything goes.
Anything
Just
goes,
chunk it in as long
exactly.
as it's JSON. Just chuck it in, bro. Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll figure it out.
So as
That's it.
Aaron was mentioning, this is one of the
Yeah.
most famous, NoSQL databases right
Yeah,
now.
MongoDB is a big one. So that's why Mongo is the M in Mern and Mean. So for MongoDB, so definitely learn this going forward in 2021. Catch our Mern clones that David and Sunny have been doing in recent weeks for those, and just like brush up on these.
And guys, if you guys are enjoying the content right now, we are at 134 likes on this video. That is amazing. Let's try to get to
Oh boy!
150 likes. Let's get it, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. So
Awesome.
Firebase is another big, NoSQL database right
Yeah.
now in the industry, and
Yeah,
we
so
love it.
this isn't part of Mern or Mean, but we've been using it recently. First of all, because Sunny's a badass at using React and Firebase together, so this is kind of like its own little mini tech stack. So you should learn Mern and Mean, but also learn Firebase because it's just so powerful. Like the Netflix clone was powered by it. I don't know what other clones. I haven't seen all Sunny's clones, but I know a lot of them. Pretty much almost all of them are using Firebase, and it's a really really hot trend. It just makes it so easy to handle your data and your databases. So in addition to Mern and Mean, definitely learn Firebase. We should um, have our own tech stack like RF,
RF.
React Firebase,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
RF.
That's cool.
Learn
That's
RF guys for
And the cool
2021.
thing
The
about
sunny way.
the cool thing about Firebase is that it's very easy to implement. I've seen Sunny implement it. I myself don't have
Yeah.
much experience with
Yeah,
Firebase
me
or
neither.
anything at all.
Yeah.
But, I know it's one of the trending NoSQL databases, but I've seen the setup of it and it's so easy. It's so user
It's
friendly.
so
It's
smooth.
it's like pretty much plug and play.
Clean.
Clean. Exactly. So
Inside
these are
joke.
the bigger names
Yeah.
and, as a little conclusion here for you guys,
Yeah, pretty much. So I just want to recover again. So basically, the main takeaways are, yeah, definitely learn your Mern, your Mean, and your Firebase along with that. But the idea, the biggest trends when it comes to like a high level, remember like do mobile first because most people um, are on their phones nowadays, and that's only gonna increase going forward. I mean, there's new smartphones coming out every year. Like Apple's releasing the new iPhone in what month? Probably less
really.
than a month. I think so. I mean, they always leak. I don't know who's
iPhone
leaking
12?
this stuff. Probably something like that. But I mean, the idea is, like smartphones ain't going away, and then, um, like, AR and VR is coming later too. But just focus on mobile for now. The other important thing is just having it cross-platform. So this is where the Mern and Mean come in handy because you're able to create um, apps that are just like good across every platform. So Mern is for MongoDB, right? So that allows you to house your data really well. E is the Express.js, which is I believe it allows you to house data for the mobile stuff a lot. And then React or Angular is for the nice pretty front end. And then Node.js just allows you to hold your data as well.
So cross-platform specifically is you can use it in a lot of different mediums.
Yeah, we're just mentioning that because you want to make sure that your apps work everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more, if it works on all different screen sizes, cross-platform just means like, oh, does it work on the web? Does it work on your phone? Does it work on your local app? All that stuff. But just make sure that you are prioritizing mobile first, because that's the biggest trend that's happening here. And then also make sure it's cross-platform. But using MERN and MEAN kind of covers that cross-platform for you. It's just it makes it nice and easy. And then again, remember the trifecta. Make sure your apps are responsive. Make sure they're pretty. Make sure they're intelligent. In order for it to be a good app, people aren't gonna want to use your shit. Like, just make sure it has all three.
Exactly. So that's a good baseline for you guys to base yourself upon.
Yeah.
You know,
Responsive, pretty, intelligent, and then use MERN and MEAN.
RPI or RIP. Oh,
RPI.
love it.
Yeah.
So let me see what you guys are saying on the comments. Do we see any cool comment?
Some dude saying I would use Laravel, PHP, and Node.
So
PHP and Node.
all of those things, guys, do implement them right now. They are trends, like I said, based on principles. And if you guys see websites that have these points, you're going to see how better it is to use those type of websites. For example, single page applications or real-time website applications, or
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we mentioned the single page applications. Like, when you use like Angular and React, basically this responsiveness stuff is built in, it's baked in. So we mentioned these trends, but the best way to actually implement these trends is, again, just use MERN, MEAN, and RF, the React Firebase. Like, just use that. It'll be responsive by definition. You have all of like the mobile functionality and everything. You have like the cross-platform capability all through those tech stacks. That's the point of a tech stack, is just being jacked like across all of these things that matter. And the only thing that we kind of didn't really talk too much about is the intelligent part, like actually adding in algorithms and stuff. You're gonna know some, some Python, probably to get all that implemented. But that's also important too. But I mean, arguably that might be the hardest one.
Yep. So, all right, guys, that was pretty much the whole list for you guys. Like I said, do implement this. If you guys are enjoying this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the other builds that Aaron was talking about, all the MERN stack builds that we have been dropping these past weeks and everything. Even the older, well, I say older, but it's like a month old. All the apps that we were building as well. Sunny and Kazi were building. I think it was Facebook, Google, freaking Instagram, Tinder, all of these huge websites that are trending right now. We show you exactly step by step how to build their interfaces. And if you guys want to become a JavaScript developer, make sure to hit the link in the description below so you guys can see how we built Netflix. And we've seen so many students, build these type of builds, put them on their portfolio, and actually land jobs. So, if you take it serious, if you do just, want to step a little bit back from the theory and actually get into practice, it's a great way to start, especially if you want to learn web development.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. This was Frankie.
This was Aaron. And yep, just remember, the pretty, responsive, intelligent, MERN and MEAN, and RF. That's it. That's the conclusion. Just do that, and then watch our clones, and you'll be pretty good to go for 2021.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This was the top web development trends in 2021.
Yep.
Peace. We'll see you in the next video.
Peace, guys.